Breaking news: a huge beer flood has happened in the streets of London. We will come back to that news later. First, we must fulfill some sponsor obligations. Do you feel tired of children weaving with the little tiny hands together little pieces of thread? Well, you're in luck. With the newest invention, the spinning jenny, you can no longer use children. Yes, you still can, they're not outlawed yet. But you can no longer need them to weave your little cotton together because the spinning jenny will do just that. With the all new technology, making it go like this, it will spin it together and make it so much better. So buy now the new and improved child labor machine, the spinning jenny. The spinning jenny will revolutionize your company. Enter the spinning jenny. James Harrington is not liable for any injuries occurred while the spinning jenny is in use. If the child is dismembered in the use, that it's too bad. Thank you from our sponsors. Now back to the flood. That flood killed about 8 people in the streets of London. Let's talk about the originality of it. First of all, it started in a London brewery, very local to mine, and one of the barrels that was housing the beer started to unhinge and closed it, or pressurized it, to the point the beer became so pressurized it exploded the barrel, causing the barrel to explode the other barrels. And the amount of force that was in each barrel was enough to break the wall of the brewery and escape to the street of London. With that, it killed 8 people from there. Didn't kill anyone in the brewery, though, thank God. It killed a lot of people in the house, grieving people from deaths, a mother and son, mother and daughter. Life is life. Um, but sadly, it caused a lot of damages, up to about 23,000 euros that a brewery has to pay for damages, which modern time now would be $1.25 million, not $1 million, million euros. So that's a lot of money. And the housing, the brewery where it's located, it was in very big, impoverished areas. With that news, let's go to our daily life segment. Thank you. Welcome to the streets of London, where we see this woman and her dog going towards their job in the factory. Hello, young lady. Are you heading toward that factory for work? Yes, I am heading towards the factory for work. Where's your husband at? Is he around so we can interview him? He died. Oh. Well, then let's interview the dog. What's your name, dog? Insightful. Well, we're getting nowhere with this. Let's just interview the woman. So, what's your name? Sarah. Okay. Well, how's it like to work inside the factory? Sucks. The conditions are terrible. I witness people die every day. Everyone day I go in, I fear every day that the machines I will run will rip my fingers from my hands and leave me fingerless. Maybe that's frees me from this job. Wow, those are some amazing working conditions. Not hear a single thing I just said. I don't want to work at this factory. I would rather be a sewer manager than deal with this job. What do you mean? Even though the pay isn't that good, it's still good money. What do you mean? The average man makes 1.0 to $1.5 a day, while us get paid so little compared to you men. We also get treated way worse than you, so why not change for the better, for the suffering of the children and women? Me? Change? Oh, you're crazy, I say. Hey, let's get out of here and leave her to her devices. Back to you, main reporter. Thank you, Daily Life Me. Now, we will now show off these mandatory cartoons to show off. Here is one, here is two, and here them on full screen, and that would be all. Aren't they amazing? Aren't they wonderful? Now let's begin the interviews we have lined up for today. Let's start with the first stop, one with Mr. Rockefeller. Today we've gotten who's journalist everywhere calling the richest man in the world, and his origins are what you'd expect. Let's welcome John D. Rockefeller. Greetings and salutation. Now, can you talk a little bit about your upbringing in early years? Let's explore what made Rockefeller. Well, I was born and rich in New York. I was a bit of a salesman and an entrepreneur. Even back then, As I sold candies and raised turkeys to earn money, I did a lot of odd jobs with neighbors back then, and it taught me the importance of cherishing and spending money on what matters. At one point, when I was 13, I actually collapsed from the physical overload. We eventually moved to the Cleveland, where I graduated high school, and I was briefly a bookkeeper. Very interesting. And how did you get your big start? I joined a few friends in business produce and investing in the upcoming oil refiners, industrial industries early on, and eventually bought out the big company in the area, Standard Oil. My company was successful because we marketed and distributed our products globally. At one point, we controlled 90% of the country's oil pipes. I'm humbled, but it was a lot of money gaining very quickly. You make it sound so easy and unaccomplishing. Were there any challenges you faced? People have problems with the way I did business and gained notoriety. Not everyone loves the ruthless nature someone like me must have, and the way I discreted competition ensured they never surpassed me. They called me and the other tycoons greedy. These practices are sometimes some things that came about largely in the prior century. The rise of the industry. Even former President Roosevelt attacked me in the press and said I was a manufacturer of great wealth. The United States government continues to target me and my company through bills and antitrust. If I've also had problems with worker strikes for better working conditions, but I take no responsibility for it. Can you talk a little bit more about the international aspect? I've changed the international world in a few ways, but as the philanthropist, I've made a contribution to biomedical research for both meningitis and yellow fever that has been devastation to millions. My institution developed the first vaccine for meningitis in the world. I made strides in promoting public health and wanted education worldwide for everyone. I actually donated a great deal of money to African American institutions in America so they can have a higher education here. Other countries have followed suit because of my example set. I say the best philanthropy is conciliation in search of finality, a search for a cause, an attempt to cure evil at the source. What did you pride yourself on the most? Become the greatest industrial monopoly in the world during my lifetime. Thank you for coming on our show for this interview. This was very insightful, John. That's the Rockefeller Center in Manhattan, New York, as recently had been named after him in recognition of his contributions, philanthropy, and his upbringing in the city. Back to you, man reporter. With the conclusion of our first interview, let's now hear for Dame Christabel Harity Pankhurst. Yes, that is me. Let's make this a speedy interview. I have places to be and to keep fighting for women's rights. Noted. When did you feel compelled to fight for women's rights? I felt compelled to fight for our rights because I saw all the mistreatment of women. We could we couldn't even complain about it to the government because we couldn't even vote. So I think we should take the military and tactic to win women's rights for the British people and hopefully the rest of the world. Well, that's amazing to hear. Do you think your efforts will help out in the long run of history? I do think my efforts will be the key to bring women's their rights in the workforce and being equal to all. Here to hear, folks. Thank you for your time. Back to you, main reporter. Now, finally, the final interview. Oh, wait. Before we do it, here's another word from our sponsors. Your factory conditions are terrible, smelly, disgusting, brittle of children? Well, don't worry about that. Let's make their lives worse with the new technology of tenement houses. These apartments, buildings for all your workers together in one house so you can see if they are at their job or not. Keep them in check. You can't let them escape. You need them workers. Love to live 6 inches apart from each other. So open up one plot of land and make the tenant homes for your workers. Love living with each other, growing in the community, and saying goodbye to each other when their time comes. You are not liable for any disease caused by the enclosed spaces of the building. If you lose a worker or they die, again, not our problem. Thank you. Now, finally, the last thing we have been here for you tonight. The interview with Cornelius Vanderbilt, the man who brought us the mobile vehicles. I'm grateful to be here. I took my own creation to get here. It's so great to hear. So, what led you to create this multi-million-dollar empire? I saw the advantage of the new railroad businesses after how successful my steamships business is. So I used my many business practices like low price on my items and with adapt marketing. That's amazing to hear. Were you trying to benefit the poor people of the Industrial Revolution? I mean, these peasants. I never wanted to even be associated with them. My workers will work till they drop, and I will not pay them accordingly. I only give to the rich like myself. Did you take part of anything unprofessional? Oh yeah, I took part of multiple of unprofessional tactics to make sure I was the only one, like hostile takeovers, undercutting my enemies, just the simple stuff, so I can only be the only one remain. Thank you for your insight, Mr. Cornelius Vanderbilt. That will be all. Back to you, my reporter friend. Thank you for the interview, my interview friend. And with that, I'll be signing off. This has been England News, and this has been an amazing time. See you next time.